I'm Ulf Anderson. I'm the executive producer of Bearded Ladies.
So what are you showing here at GDC?
We're showing Mutant Year Zero, and yeah, it's been going great.
So for people who don't know what this is, because I just found out what this is a game based off a tabletop game that came out that was re-released a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I played this when I was a kid, and then it's been like re-released and redesigned over the years, but it sort of has the same feeling as when I was a kid. There's not a lot of people that knows about this game, and it's not really what we're trying to do. Like, we're not trying to pitch the role-playing game as much. It's more like just because we love that world and we use it as a sort of a creative base, you know.
I mean, I didn't know about it, and I'm a huge tabletop guy.
Yeah, that goes to show, right? But there's a lot of those games in the world, you know, like local games. But the game is actually reaching the States now, and people seem to like it too. So
talk about some of the gameplay. What are you doing in this game? What type of game is it? It's not a one-for-one book to game.
Yeah, if you look at some of the screenshots, I think that will be released, it might look like an XCOM game. And it is to some extent. There's combat elements. The actual combat is sort of an XCOM combat situation. But we're doing, to sort of address a lot of the pacing issues that we feel such games have, we really went deep into the RPG and added like sneaking and ambushing and setting your whole team up so you can sort of control how you start combat and how, you know, pick people off before the fight and stuff like that. Like the whole team, or that's wrong, half of the team actually, like former IO people from games like HITMAN and stuff like that. So sneaking is sort of their forte. So it's a nice fit.
And a lot of the games that I've played that are similar to XCOM, Wasteland, and just they have a more focus on combat encounters where you're on a linear level and they're focused on the combat. But you guys have a more emphasis on exploration, being able to freely go around these hub levels as you wish, and you even have a kind of a hint of like a Metroidvania style where you have to come back to levels because you don't have an ability or a mutation to access a certain area.
Yeah, I mean Castlevania or like Metroid is exactly that. Like if you run into a too tough opposition, like too high-level enemies, you can actually sneak around sort of the fringe of that and figure out if there's some loot you can actually steal or fight like a smaller group of enemies that don't alert the bigger group, and then you can come back later on. So, like, just sort of picking them apart, figuring out what to do, realizing, this is not going to work, or even trying and failing, you know. And it's like, I failed too many times, I'll be back later on, you know. And it feels so nice to be able to come back and really kick ass, so
just like a tabletop RPG, you have classes and races and all that stuff. Talk about some of the classes and races you play as and control in this game.
Yeah, okay, so it's more like personalities, really. I mean, they look like a race, but it's locked characters. So we start off the game with 2 characters, and then you quickly find another character, and then you find, I'm not going to say the final amount, but because it's not super
It'll be more than what we see in the trailers.
Yeah. At least 5 that I can surely say. So, and those will be found during the quest, and one of them you might not actually come across if you don't do like subplot stuff. But you can there's a limit to the combat. We're limiting it in at 3 guys at the same time, because it just felt nice like that.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah, it's like I used to play a lot of XCOM back, the old one. It's just when that your squad becomes too large, it's just like, moving. So
if you have 4 squad members, now they have to fight 10 guys, 5, 15 guys, and it just keeps growing, and you're like, this is too many people moving at the same time.
Absolutely. So we instead try to make, like, really play with the depth of the characters instead and the tactical setup. So we use, the game is named Mutant, so we have a bunch of mutations, of course, and these sort of alter the way you approach a fight. So you can pick them before a fight and unlock them over the progression with, like, you get points and you actually buy stuff in a semi non-linear tree, you could say. And so you buy these, and now suddenly you can approach a situation a very different thing. So let's say you get a leap ability. Now you can actually leap onto a roof and snipe from there, for example. So it just changes how you see the battlefield in that scout mode, because now you're starting to think, well, hang on, maybe I could do this, maybe I can do that, So it makes it very interesting, I think. There's so many ways of approaching the same situation.
The first thing I love doing when you look at an RPG book is looking at perks and abilities, and I saw some really cool abilities in the book, as well as on the screen, but I saw like acid bile, human plant, like all these really cool things. Like, I want to see how that works in the game.
Yeah. I mean, there's of course limitations just because of time. And role-playing books have the big, I mean, they can just write it and it's done. We're in a different business, right? So, but we're looking, we're talking about DLCs and we're talking about that stuff, and we haven't really like locked down all the mutations yet, because there's some crazy stuff in there that we want to play around with still, and just make them as good as we can, basically.
Can you talk about some of the characters that we mean, the duck and the boar? I don't know what their names are.
Well, it's ducks.
Ducks. D-U-X. Okay, that's clever.
Boar man, and that kind of stuff. We play around with it's a dark sort of themed game with dark humor in it, but like the characters are playful at the same time, fun. So it's sort of, it's an interesting mix. People seem to love it, which is good.
These characters, were they human and then mutated, or were they ducks that mutated and a boar that mutated?
Actually, they don't know, and it might be unveiled at some point. Nobody knows.
An interesting concept that you guys are doing right now, you guys are developing simultaneously on PC and console at the same time. Talk a little bit about that experience.
I mean, the sort of turn-based, this type of game really fits itself to a game controller and a mouse and keyboard. So, I mean, I think XCOM sort of proved that. The latest, the remake of XCOM really proved that you can release it on both, which motivated us a lot to try. And it works.
But usually you have to wait, 6 months to a year if the game comes on a PC to get on console. But like, this is going to be a simultaneous, or you're aiming for a simultaneous release. Yeah,
it's hard work. That's all I can say. It's hard work. But we have some good partners to help us out doing that. And,
So when does the game come out, and what platforms are you aiming for?
Well, I think the trailer says it, like Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. We're looking at this year. We're not going to announce the exact date because we want to be able to slide it a bit. If we need another month to make it just that tad little bit better that we want it to be, that's going to happen. So we don't. I know the date, but I'm not going to say it.
And perhaps the most important question here at the show that I've been asking everybody is, what about Nintendo Switch?
Well, I'm not going to say unofficially, because this is unofficial, right?
Everyone says we'd love to, but we have to finish our game first.
Basically, I mean, if you want to do that, there's tons of optimizations, and it's just a slightly different situation, right? So, but yeah, I mean, we're talking about it. We would love to do that, absolutely.